Hey guys, what's going on? So this is the first podcast that I've done in a little while. This one's going to be a little bit different. Usually I come on here and I interview people for the Independent Creatives podcast. I'm usually interviewing artists or comic creators. This one is going to be different because I have my new friend Stefano with the Monroe Institute with me. And what's really interesting about this, well, actually, I'm going to let Stefano introduce himself and what the Monroe Institute is. Can you give us kind of a brief introduction?
Yes, absolutely. So, hello to everyone. I'm Italian, so my English is not as best as my Italian, but I try to do my best.
It's perfect. Your English is perfect.
So, yes, I'm living in Italy and I'm very happy to be here to give you some information about myself, about more than myself, about the Monroe Institute. That is a non-profit organization focused on state of consciousness. So, uh, they develop a technology to help you to reach a different state of consciousness, and creativity are there, so you can do a lot of things using this kind of sounds. But before this, some information about me. When I was 14 years old, I had my first out of body experience. It
Hmm.
was very strange for me, something exciting. I was not aware about what kind of experience I was experiencing.
Hmm.
Uh, but that kind of experiences motivated me to better understand what is life, why I'm here, and what I can do to enjoy my life, to fulfill my life.
Hmm.
So I was very young, so through the time I start reading many books, Castaneda, other shamanic books, Freud, Aldous Huxley, a lot of interesting books that try to describe not the ordinary reality, but other opportunity of exploring life and experience realities. So through the time I became. I had a very common life for the first part of my life because I was an IT manager. I worked with software and creativity was there. I was very attracted to create something new, something different. And um, writing software for me, especially because it was the starting years of the computer science, was exploring a new frontier, something new, create something new. And now we are reaching a new stage like this with the AI intelligence software.
Hmm.
But by the way, that at the same time, I try to, yes, to better understand how we work, which other talents we have potentially, and how we can develop these talents. So I belongs for 6 years to esoteric school, a four-way school based on Gurdjieff and Ouspensky teaching. Then I studied the Chinese medicine to better understand how we work from an energy point of view. And then I did many shamanic workshop, exploring this other state of consciousness. And finally, I discovered the Monroe Institute when I was 14, something like that. And that for me was very uh, challenge because they offered to me the opportunity to integrate my rational mind that want to know from a scientific point of view how we function, how the world works, and the other part of me that is the creative, the experiential part of me, the emotional point of view that want to explore through the direct experience about life. The Monroe Institute supports this kind of integration because the technology supports you to activate both hemispheres in your brain. And this means that you reach in half an hour a condition that other way you need to spend more than 10 years of traditional meditation. And this was verified by at university. So there is many study, many scientific documentation that describe that we can reach this state of synchronization of the hemispheres and activate other power, other talents that we have, simply using special sound that the Monroe Institute developed. They call this sound, that sound are binaural beats. So you can Google binaural beats and you can find more information. Uh, Mainly are two different sound that you hear in your ear. And the differences between these two sounds create an effect in your brain that activate a different state of consciousness. It's like when you do a shamanic retreat or you do something different. So you enter in a different modality of perception about yourself. And but you are very present at the same time. You don't lose control. You are in control. At the same time, you can explore a different reality. Thanks to that retreats that I followed, I discover and I now I know that we are much more than our physical body, and that we can explore these other realities or what we really are, going out of body, having lucid dreaming experiences, remote viewing, and near death experiences, and much, much more in a very simple way, even if you need a preparation or a practice to better learn how to manage this experience and to activate your talents. Why you have to activate your talents? Because you can discover what is your life purpose. Wesley, for instance, is an artist. He discovered, I don't know how, but he discovered his way. So I think it's very important that each of us have the opportunity to discover why he is here in this life and how he can fulfill or fully enjoy about the experience that we have here in this life. So the Monroe Institute mainly offer experiential program technology to support you in this kind of exploration, this kind of process.
Okay, yeah, that's a great introduction. So you had an out of body experience when you were very young, and that kind of led you into all this alternative literature, and then also into like shamanic stuff, and you said alternate medicine, like Chinese medicine and things like that. So, were you a fan of whenever you came across the Monroe Institute and you saw that there was this merger between there was the realization of a out of body experience, which is very unusual in a scientific setting, right? So you saw it as kind of bridging the gap between this alternate culture sort of thing, which usually it can also get kind of mixed up in a bunch of stuff that's just not practical and it's not real and maybe some stuff that seems very much like a scam. And then you have the scientific stuff over here, which is just completely dismissive of any kind of experience that is meaningful to you, particularly to any individual. It almost seems like the scientific method, what we're coming out of, is that the scientific method for so long has tried to have this objective view of reality to where we are completely removed from it, but we're finding out that it's impossible to do that, right?
Mhm.
So I'm curious if did you come across the Monroe Institute from reading Robert Monroe's books? And who was Robert Monroe? Like he's the guy who started the Monroe Institute. So can you tell us about him? Because he also wrote quite a lot of books that bridge that gap between the two.
Yeah, yeah, good question. Yes, yes. To complete my introduction, my presentation, after some retreats that I joined at the Monroe Institute, I decided to become a trainer. So I follow a certification process, and in the last 15 years, I quit my previous job and I spend all of my time promoting this kind of activity in Italy, in Europe.
Mhm.
Coming back to your question, that is a very good question. Yes, this institute was created, founded by Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe was a sound engineer. So for the first part of his life, he was a businessman in the States. He was very well known. He was I don't want to say a rich man, but yeah, he was very good. And he created the first TV channel in during the 70s, and he led many radio programs during that years. But so he had a very normal life, very good life, very good professional activity for him. But once upon a time, because he liked to test with the sound, to create special mixing, to learn during sleeping or
Hmm.
relaxing people, support sleep cycles, something like that. And probably because he exposed himself to this kind of sound, he started to have out of body experience.
Hmm.
So during the afternoon, he lie down his bed and he fly away. He wake up
Hmm.
outside his body and he move in different part of the country. He lived in New York City, and he fly to California to see some friend. Then he come back, and when he come back and he wake up into his body, he picked the phone and he called his friend saying, "Oh, what were you doing 5 minutes ago?" And he saw that he was cooking something in the kitchen. He said, "I was cooking a cake in the kitchen, but why you ask me?" So he started to have a validation protocol to verify that was not an hallucination, but something real that he was able to experience. So through the time, these episodes became more frequently, and he go to a medical doctor, say, "Oh, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my brain? Why I have this kind of experiences?" And the doctor say, "Oh, we make all the tests, but you're perfectly healthy, so no problem from physical point of view." So he went to a friend, a psychologist, and say, "Well, you don't know that there are people that go to India, they stay in ashram for 20 years to reach this kind of experiences. And you have this naturally by free. So you are very lucky. Try to use this kind of experience because it's something unique that you can have, especially because you are aware about this." So he decided to hire a group of researchers to study his brain, to make some research. And finally, they use sound to create a special frequency that we can hear to recreate the same brain waves of Robert Monroe had. So when they find this solution, they decide. Robert Monroe decided to create the Monroe Institute as a non-profit organization to continue the research and offer to the people the opportunity to test, to try to use this sound. Let me say one thing. The out of body experience is something more common than what we think, because according to independent study, during the night, more than I don't want to say 100%, but a higher percentage of people have out of body experience. They don't remember. Probably they remember that a dream where they fly or where they falling down, and this kind of content are indicators of an out of body experience. So there is a lot of research now available that can give you information about how to recognize your dreams that are not really dreams but out of body experience. So all of us are able to do this, and we are able to do this because if we come back to the main concept of the Monroe Institute, we know through the experience that we are much more than our physical body. And this means that You enter into this life, you enter into this body, you use this body to do what you want to do or what happened to you. At the end, you leave this body and you come back from where you started.
Hmm.
So this is something that we can verify through these retreats, through these experiences. And we have a scientific validation about the ability of our brain to reach different state of consciousness. We had some technology that are able to measure the brain waves and make a comparison with the yogi or with the monk. After 40 years of daily practice of meditation, they reach higher state of consciousness, and we can compare the activity of our brain when we use this sound technology, and we can see that we are able to reach the same states. Probably we don't have the same consciousness about a 40-year practice, but
Hmm.
potentially we reach the same states. And when you have enough experiences about this kind of OBA, lucid dreaming, and much more, you can accept the idea that you are able to go and to explore different realities. Now
Hmm.
we have the quantum physics that explain to us that there are many realities
Hmm.
that we are able to be tuned into this reality during our daily life, but in a special condition, in a special moment, using techniques, technology, sound technology, or other things. We can uh, shift our consciousness from this present life that is around us and move into another reality. I'm quite sure that artists are able to reach naturally this state of consciousness. They see things that we don't see. They have colors, concept, idea, intuition, uh, every communication, because they use another part of their brain that is the right brain that we can train
Hmm.
to naturally reach these states. And in that condition, many other things are available, easy.
Hmm. Hmm.
We are so focused on the rational mind that want to measure, that want to verify everything,
Hmm.
and be in control about everything. But when we use this other approach, this other technology, uh, we don't lose control, but at the same time, we are free to explore these other realities.
Hmm.
And all is easy if you accept the idea that you are much more. It's like to drive your car. When you are into your car, you are so identified with your car that if someone scratch your car, you're very
Yeah.
but when you stop the car and you exit from the car, you know that you are separate from the car. So
Hmm.
this is the idea of the out of body experience. You can leave temporary this physical body to go elsewhere, and then
Hmm.
you come back.
Hmm.
We are able to do all of this, and we do naturally, but we are not aware about this.
Hmm.
Using Monroe sound science or other techniques, we have the opportunity to validate, to explore this other aspect.
Yeah, the the whole thing about identifying, the analogy of identifying with the car while you're in the car and then getting out of it, that's a perfect analogy because really it highlights one of the main issues it is that we have as human beings in general, is that we identify with all of these physical things. We identify with our skin color, we identify with our political ideology, we identify with our background, our personal history, we identify with the social status it is that we have. And all of these things are conditional. They can be taken away from us at any moment. And because of that, I think that there's kind of like this underlying anxiety that follows people around because you know somewhere in the back of your head, anything can happen and those things be taken from you. And so it seems like we're naturally wired, or it's obvious when you have these experiences that you realize that we're naturally wired to be connected to a greater source because, like you said, we are more than this physical body. So that's a perfect analogy because it, it it illustrates that if we really understood this, then we really wouldn't have any reason to fight one another. We wouldn't have these problems. And so much of our problems come from this misidentification with what it is that we actually are. So it's right in line with what it is that Buddha talks about, or Jesus, or any of these other people, but it makes it more approachable to somebody who doesn't have 10 years to go and sit in a cave somewhere and figure this out. Somebody's got bills to pay, they got kids, they got other things going on. And so I came across the Monroe Institute. I came across I think it was from the leaked CIA files
Yeah.
that were, yeah. So I started to get into that because I was really big into like leaked CIA files, conspiracies, and all that stuff. And so I started to get into the gateway experience that way. And then as I got into it, I started using the tapes that I found on YouTube because if you go to Hemi-Sync on YouTube, which I'll include a link to it in the description box, as well as a link to the Monroe Institute for Italy and then the main one for anybody who wants to check it out. But you can check out some of the videos for free on YouTube right now from the Hemi-Sync YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. There is an app that have free access to a huge amount of content. Then, if you want to have more, you have to pay. But you can use the free account. It's called Expand App. I can give you the link at the end or
Mm-hmm.
later on, so you can share with the people. There is the channel on the YouTube or the Monroe Institute, full of video about everything about Bob Monroe, about what is an OBA experience, about the retreat, whatever you want. So there is a lot of content and music and meditation that you can use for free. Obviously, if you decide to join a retreat, as you did, you have the knowledge of a trainer that supports you in fully understand how to better use the method and the technology.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the goal that we have, because the Monroe Institute is a non-profit organization, yeah, we need to live, we need to ask money for the retreat, but we use this money to support the research, to move on, to
Mm-hmm.
explore much more. Is really to share with the people, to give tools, to give because when you have enough experience to know that you are much more, exactly as you said before, you really touch the point. You can change your perspective. You can be less identified with this reality and with what the society try to give to you:
Mm-hmm.
anger, fear,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, and so on. So yes, you can use your energy to do something different, to
Mm-hmm.
find the way to feel good. This
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that you are not aware about what happened around you, but to better understand the reality, you have to step back and see the reality from a different perspective, and knowing that you are much more, you are not limited to what is happening to you during this week, during this year, because life is something greater. And when you have this kind of experiences, you can also have access to memories that belongs, that are your memory, but belongs to other lifetime, other life
Mm-hmm.
experience that you have
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
maybe 500 years ago, or
Mm-hmm.
300 in the future. You can explore all of this. And coming back to the analogy with the car, yes, you can change different cars
Mm-hmm.
according to the needs that you have. You want to have a sport car because you want to make a race, or you have a minivan because you want to store a lot of things,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or yeah. So according to your purpose, your need,
Mm-hmm.
you can choose different car vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And this analogy work also with life. You can have different life as a man, as a woman, with children, without children, as a good man, as a criminal, as a whatever, because you want to have different kind of experience. You can be an artist, you can be the Pope, you can be,
Yeah.
yeah, a Buddhist, whatever, because we grow through our experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is the best way that we have to learn what is life and who we are. So we need to have, but not only the standard experience that we do day by day, and having a work, coming back, a family, and so on. I have
Mm-hmm.
nothing against all of this. I have a family, I had a
Mm-hmm.
private work. It's good, it's perfect, but it's not enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because being connected to that infinite source that is God, we're all fractals of that infinite source, learning through itself, learning through these individualized experiences. And by by having these individualized experiences, then source itself begins to understand itself. And so it just seems like it's this eternal evolution that the world that everything is going through. One of the things I talk about on this channel a lot is the power of intention and how it's connected with artistry and being an artist. And I think that a lot of the artists that I talk to, or the people that I talk to, sometimes can feel maybe kind of frustrated about their own creative pursuits because they might look outside of themselves. And I mean, I did this for the longest time. And so I make videos for people that were in a similar situation as me, where you want to make a living doing something creative. And so you start looking at the marketplace and you start thinking to yourself, okay, if this guy makes money doing this, then I'll do something like that. But really, you just end up getting misaligned with your true purpose because you're trying to chase something that isn't really aligned with you. And so a lot of the stuff that I talk about on this channel is that so much of what it is that you get online, whether it's advice from other people, even though it may be appropriate in a certain situation, what it is that we have to understand is that there's also an inner game. There's also an internal whole thing it is that has to be set up correctly. Otherwise, the best advice it is that could come from somebody who has experience as an artist or as a businessman or something like that, it's not going to click. It's not going to hit correctly, right? And one of the things it is that you talked a lot about in the retreat, which we did a 5-day retreat, which you can find on the Monroe Institute website. And essentially, we did these audio tapes where you basically go and do lying down meditation with the binaural beats. We did these like 5 times a day for 5, 6 days, and it was an incredible experience. So, but during this time, you talked a lot about the power of intention, and this is something it is that I talk about as well because I kind of want to get your perspective on it because we talked about how when we look at these geniuses, it seems that clearly what they're doing is that they naturally are able to fall into this alternate brainwave, and their intention is that they want to bring ideas from this space where all the ideas are in this quantum space, and they want to bring those ideas and put them into reality. So it has nothing to do with the personal status of how skilled you are as an artist or anything like that. It has to do with how tapped in you are into that. So can you talk a little bit about intention and how that, I mean, really, we don't even realize that it shapes every moment of our experience because
Mhm.
it's almost hidden from us. It almost seems like it's obscured from us intentionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely. This is a very interesting. It is another key point because yes, first of all, every one of us is unique. We have special talent, special ability, but most of the time we try to follow what the society say to us that we have to follow, the influencer or the big man, the good artist. But yeah, the very important people for me are the ones that are able to follow their dreams, to follow their intuition. So even through the story, the people that really change the technology, the culture, the society, are people that decide to go in a different direction than the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
because they trust into themselves. They know that they have something to express for themselves to the world, and they try to. They also have the ability to put in practice what they have in their mind. But coming back to intuition, uh, we have many abilities. We know enough about the rational mind that is related to logic, to analytic, to critics, to
Mm-hmm.
programming, to planning, organizing, all kind of things. And this belongs to the left hemisphere. But with the right hemisphere, well, there is a world of other talents that we have, and
Mm-hmm.
intuition is one of these. So if we allow ourselves to dream and to follow our intuition, to close our eyes and to imagine something that doesn't exist, or to follow an intuition and emotion, we can enter in a different world. And this meditation are the perfect way to enter in this kind of things. We have special meditation for creativity, but mainly from a brain point of view, this means use more your right hemispheres and shut off the left hemisphere moment. Uh, because this is a way to get uh, in an inner process where we get in touch with the source of what we are, with our essence, and from that point of view, allow ourselves to express what we have inside. And the only way to express, the first step to express what we have inside, is to follow our creativity, our intuition, what we think we have to do, even if it's something strange or something that people don't do. Then there is the other aspect that engage the left hemisphere. If we want to realize our intuition, our dream, our creativity, we have to know how to painting, how to
Mm-hmm.
uh, make real things here, to create the arts that we want to create. It can be a technology, it can be a furniture, it can be everything.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are living in a material world, we need to temporarily stop to live in this reality, to go elsewhere to find intuition, to find dreams, to find what doesn't exist really here, and come back here and realize all of this.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you think people like Leonardo da Vinci, like Tesla, like
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs, or other
Mm-hmm.
people that create something new from a cultural point of view, scientific, medical, wherever, in each field, they they use the dream. Einstein's they use the dream as a lab to
Mm-hmm.
find the intuition, to discover what they want to create, and listen if all of this resonate with our essence or not. Then they come back, and because they are good, they know how to create in this material reality all of this. But yeah, we manifest, we create, we manifest every day,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know exactly that this is a process that we already know, and we think that is not possible to create something new. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe the artist is the one that trusts that it's possible to create something new,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and had the energy, the will to do this, even if it's something that he don't know if this was the way and as he can live for that with them or with that or not.
Yeah. Yeah, this reflects my experience so much because I've noticed a lot of different things have changed the more it is that I've understood how much our lives are created by the intention it is that we're actually bringing to it. You know, like you said, we're not aware that we're manifesting every day because it seems like this physical reality, it creates a lag time, right? Like you have an intention to bring something into reality, and it seems like the reason why it is that we come into this experience of reality is because this lag time that is created from the beginning of the intention until the manifestation happens, it's like you go through this kind of test of faith. And by that test of faith, we grow in, I guess you could say, sentience, right? We grow in our wisdom, we grow in our love and our understanding because you have to surrender control, because you
Yes.
can have the intention of, okay, I want to be an artist, and then you go through this whole process of looking at other artists and being like, okay, I want to do like him, or I want to do like him, and then quickly you get completely burnt out because you can't do it like these people, and so eventually you surrender and you fall back into what is uniquely you. And when you do that, what is so interesting is you start to see how it is that the external reality starts to mirror back to you, and it starts to play with you in
Yeah.
these weird little synchronicities, these things that happen that science will try to explain away as like a statistic. Like Carl Jung, he had this great comeback on people that said that synchronicities were just statistics, right? He said statisticians say that an average rock weighs 0.44 grams or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And he writes this article. In this article, he writes, he's like, well, I dare you to go and actually. That means that you have to go outside right now and pick up a rock, and it has to weigh 0.44 grams. If the average rock on this planet, and it's not going to. It's not. It's a statistic that has been invented in order to explain the mass of the
Mhm.
planet, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's useful in a particular context. Now the problem is that we have created an entire society that is run off of these made up statistics. It's like, oh well, there's no chance it is that you're gonna be an artist because, look at the statistical average of the people who go into art school versus the people who actually make a living at it, right? Or whatever statistic it is you want to pull out of it. But the truth is that the people who actually make it are the ones who fall back so much into themselves and connect so deeply with their intuition that everything it is that they do is basically given to them from their higher self. Because what I've learned from my experience as an artist is that to try to be an artist, it's a walk of faith the entire way. It doesn't matter who it is that has the experience, who it is that has the big hit or whatever. They can't give you any advice really because every person is totally and completely unique. And it
Mhm.
seems like, from my experience, is that there is a there is a higher version of ourselves that is projected down, and it projects itself down into this material reality. And as it does this, as it gets into this dense reality, the connection between us and our higher mind, it becomes very sensitive. It's very subtle because you can lose the connection so easily, right?
Mhm.
It's almost like you're
Yeah.
carrying a candle and like a storm or something, like a lit candle in a storm. It's like it's very difficult to find that connection and then maintain it. But if
Yeah.
you can, it basically has the blueprint where it's like, okay, go here, talk to this person, go here and do this, do that. And like really, the more it is that you meditate, the more it is that you remove yourself from the societal programming and the things it is that other people put on us, the more clear that connection comes through, and life just becomes like a benediction. It's a total blessing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. As I say during the retreats many times, all is a question of energy and attention. Where we put our attention, we can put our energy. So if we put attention to daily life activity or to the news that we read, we send all of our energy in this, and probably we
Hmm.
create stress, we create anxiety, we create all of this. But if we change direction, if we listen ourselves, and if we start using our creativity and our intention, so that means get in touch with the higher self, because the right part of ourself, what I call the right hemisphere, is the channel to get in touch with the higher self,
Hmm.
not the rational mind, is
Hmm.
the holistic mind that we have. uh, so we can shift the energy that we have in focusing in the get in touch with this higher part of ourselves, and understand what is really good for us, how we can fulfill our life, how we can be satisfied about what we do. No matter what you do, you can do everything. You can cook, you can create art, you can create building, whatever it is. It's not a problem, but you have to follow what you have inside and get in touch with your higher part of self, because you are here to grow, and the only way to grow for you is to do what is more appropriate, what is more tuned, what is
Hmm.
coherent with what you are.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, I can say that thanks to the experiences that I had through the Monroe Institute, I learned all of this about myself. That's why I quit my job and decided to do something different. So I'm very happy about my life, because I know who I am, what I'm doing, and what I want to do. It can be everything, because we are all different, but I know. So the starting point is listen to yourself. What make you happy? What make you satisfied about using your talents, using your ability, and follow your intuition, follow your dreams, start dreaming more, to use the dream as an open door to explore something different.
Hmm.
Then you come back here and you can use your rational mind to, okay, what we can do tomorrow and after
Hmm.
tomorrow, and create a path to
Hmm.
go in a different direction than before, without mm, be afraid about what the people say that you have to do. But
Hmm. Hmm.
because the life
Yeah.
is yours, is not of the society, is not for your family or your friends. You are the one that have to choose what you want to do. Yeah, you can
Hmm.
listen the other, but at the end is your responsibility.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, and that's something that I've mentioned in a podcast before, is that really I think that creativity and anything that is connected to our creativity is ultimately about the sovereignty of each individual. And that's something it is that we need more now than ever, because everything is always trying to tell you what it is that you are. Like I don't really know how it is in Italy, but for example, in the States, everything is extremely political. It's like you can't even have a conversation without somebody trying to figure out where you're at. And so everybody is identifying themselves with the social mask it is that they need to wear in order to make it through the day. And Lewis Carroll, he was the writer of Chronicles of Narnia, and he was a Christian as well. He coined the term of we are becoming men without chests, men without hearts. We're not living here anymore. Instead, we're living here in these ideologies and things like that. And all it does is it creates this suffering. And I think what's really interesting is that the more it is that you begin to tune into your own experience and use the way it is that you feel, just the way it is that you feel inside of your body and your emotions as your compass, and start to understand that the emotions that you're having are more, they're, as long as you're not being reactive to everything, as long as you're not constantly reacting to the world, you can start to see them as signals from your higher mind, right? That are basically telling you, yes, this is the way, no, this isn't the way. And once it is that you can remove those external influences of other people telling you what to do or who you should be or whatever, and you can start to tune in with what it is that your unique frequency is, then life becomes, it just becomes so much easier and so much more interesting, and life will respond to you in a creative way. There was one thing I wanted to add about what you were talking about, the right brain. Did you know? Uh, I've read a ton of stuff like on creativity and geniuses and stuff like that. And there was one book that I read, and it was about like people that have spontaneous occurrences of like creative genius, and it'll happen like after somebody has like a stroke. Like a guy will have like a stroke at like 60 years old, and he'll be nearly paralyzed, and then he'll come back from it, and then all of a sudden he can paint, or all of a sudden he can remember like every little detail of like a city, and he can draw it on like a map. You know what I mean? It's like we have so much more that is available to us, and I think that a lot of us, we walk through our lives with this kind of silent frustration of like we know that there's something more that we're not tapping into, but we just don't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. The fact is that we use a minimum part of our ability or talents. Even the science agree the fact that we use maybe 10%. There was a movie years ago,
Hmm.
Limitless, where they take a
Hmm.
pill. And yeah, it's very interesting. But it's true, we have some other ability that we don't need to activate for living the normal life. But
Yeah.
if you became curious about life, if you are not satisfied about your life, you start searching for something different. You don't
Yeah.
need to find the answer through drugs or something like that, because you
Yeah.
have inside all of what you need. And so the coming back, the idea of the Monroe Institute is to train your brain, train your awareness to wake up and to
Hmm.
know that you have superpower, not
Hmm.
because you became Superman, but because you are much more than what you think, and you can activate all of this. So there is a process, there is a way to activate your other abilities. We even in the gateway report we speak about the power of the mind that we have, that we can activate it through the practice, through techniques, through sound, and other things. But uh, when you accept the idea, when you trust that you are much more, because this is the starting point. If you don't think that you are good enough, that you have this ability, you go, oh yeah, probably Tesla or Einstein or whatever, but not me. It's not true.
Hmm.
Every one of us have all the ability. So first point is to trust that you are much more, and you have some other abilities that you can activate to fulfill your life. The second one is to use more your creativity, your intuition. And as you said before, this is a very good point. Listen your heart, what resonates in you, not what your brain say that you have to do, but what you think, you feel you have to do. And this is the way to move in another direction, change perspective about life. Doesn't matter about what the other people say that you have to do or not. Trust in yourself, get in touch with your higher self, and follow your life. The universe will support people like this.
Hmm.
I can
Yep.
guarantee. If you follow your dream, if you are coherent with yourself, if you listen your heart, you find exactly what is waiting for you in this life, and usually is something good that supports your growing.
Hmm. Yeah, and we're about to close it out here in a moment, but I wanted to add to that that I also think that as you go down this experience and you listen more to your intuition, then you start to realize that the reason why we run into so many problems in the world is because life is basically trying to tell you, no, this isn't the way. You know, there's a great quote, rejection is redirection, right? So it's like you may be, if you keep continuously running into hurdles trying to go down one path, then that might just be life telling you, no, this isn't the direction for you, and that you're not actually in alignment with what it is that your true desires are. Maybe you're trying to do something it is that somebody else is telling you, and you're not even realizing that you're doing it because we run on autopilot for so long with these ideologies that get put into us. I appreciate you talking with me, man. This is really awesome. Yeah, so the retreat was amazing. Stefano's like, I think you're the only guy in Italy doing this, right? You're the only guy holding these retreats in Europe.
No, there are some other guys. I'm the one that started earlier, so I
Okay.
have more experience. I can try on more program than the other, but I'm supporting other people to do the same things in Italy and also in Europe. So yeah,
Okay. Okay.
maybe once upon a time you can be one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that for sure. Uh,
sure,
uh, okay. Well, I'm going to include links to the app that you mentioned, the
sure.
Monroe Institute for Italy, as well as any other links and the YouTube links and everything like that for anybody who wants to check it out. And then, of course, there'll be my website for anybody who wants to take a look at my art. Thank you, Stefano. Thank you for
Thank
chatting with me.
you,
This was
you,
awesome.
and yes, absolutely, and enjoy your time in Italy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.